This is Jupiter Today for the 12th of December 2014. Jupiter Today is a daily podcast focusing attention on the Jupiter system for the purpose of monitoring activity. At 0 hours UTC, the position of Jupiter on the celestial sphere is a right ascension of 9 hours, 40 minutes, 3.7 seconds, and a declination of positive 14 degrees, 46 minutes, 47.7 seconds. The angular separation between the Sun and Jupiter today is 117.25 degrees, and that's 1.025 degrees greater than it was yesterday. The distance between Earth and Jupiter continues to get shorter and shorter every day. Today, the distance is 716,676,578 kilometers. That's 2,094,643 kilometers closer than yesterday. And that gives relative velocity between Earth and Jupiter of 87,276.79 kilometers per hour. And that velocity continues to slow down at an ever-increasing rate. And over the past 24 hours, that velocity has slowed down by 769.13 kilometers per hour. The central meridian at 0 hours UTC, CM1 338.58, CM2 74.31, CM3 327.48. At 0 hours UTC, Io begins the day in Quadrant 1, heading east. Europa starts the day in Quadrant 2, heading west. Ganymede spends all day in Quadrant 1, heading east, getting further and further away from Jupiter. And Callisto is in Quadrant 4, heading east, getting ever closer to Jupiter. At 6 hours UTC, Io is still in Quadrant 1, heading east, but nearing its eastern elongation. At 12 hours UTC, Io is in Quadrant 2, now heading west. At 1800 hours UTC, Io is in Quadrant 2, heading west but near transit. Europa is currently transiting and moving into Quadrant 3, heading west. Ganymede continues its eastern motion, as does Callisto. And by 0 hours UTC tomorrow, Io is in Quadrant 3, heading west. And you can also see that Europa is in Quadrant 3, heading west. And they're going to have some interactions here. There are 8 Jupiter satellite events. First at 14:52 UTC, when Europa's shadow ingresses. At 17:06, the transit of Europa across Jupiter begins. At 17:70, the shadow of Io ingresses onto the disk of Jupiter. At 17:45, Europa's shadow egresses. At 18:22, the transit of Io across Jupiter begins. At 19:33, Io's shadow egresses. At 20 hours UTC, the transit of Europa ends. And at 2038, the transit of Io ends. So, just like a couple of days ago, Io and Europa are both going to be seen transiting Jupiter. This time, it's going to be running for 1 hour and 38 minutes between 1822 and 2000 hours. There are two initial events. The first takes place at 2236 when Io eclipses Callisto. You can see how far away they appear, but Io is coming up behind Jupiter. Callisto is also behind Jupiter. The sun is coming this way, sunlight coming this way, and so it just so happens that the shadow of Io falls onto Callisto. This is a 7.4 minute event with an estimated magnitude flux drop of 0.183. The second satellite mutual event takes place from 2312 to 219 tomorrow, and that's when Europa occults Io. And this is a very long event. This takes place over 187.1 minutes with a 0.003 magnitude flux drop. So a very long occultation, fairly far away from Jupiter. Could be pretty interesting. 24 hours of the Jupiter sky. Imagine that you're on the equator of Jupiter, just above the cloud top, so you can see all of the stars. Well, this is what you would see at 0 hours UTC. This is 24 hours of Jupiter's sky. And here we go. Anticipating that long occultation, you can sort of keep track of the positions of Europa and Io. You can see that currently they're on the east side of Jupiter from our point of view. Here come the shadow crossings and transits. There's Europa shadow crossing, Io shadow crossing, Europa transit, Io transit. Look how close they get. The Jupiter system is very dynamic. The red spot crosses the meridian twice today, the first at 9:24 UTC and the next at 19:20 UTC. There were no new images, no new radio data, and no new papers. So please subscribe. Would like to hear your comments. Send your images of Jupiter or the Jupiter system to the email shown. And until tomorrow, I bid you peace.